atop my paddleboard on Lake Michigan. It is a really beautiful day and I'm really grateful. I always wish I could show you the skyline the way I see it because it doesn't appear the same at all on camera. It looks so much farther away. I love days like this paddling because it's really mild and it's not windy, which is rare. I'm not having to fight the wind to gain a little distance, and now I am about half the distance between where I live and Montrose Beach, which is one of my favorite places from my paddleboarding history and a place that I have an attachment to because I spent so much time paddleboarding from there. And it's actually where I got this paddleboard. I bought this paddleboard from Kayak Chicago. Hi, Dave. He's never going to watch this, but I'm saying hi to him anyway. I rented this board and probably spent like, I don't know, a stupid amount of money. Let's say probably close to over $1,000, well over $1,000, probably closer to $2,000 on this board, just renting it because I was doing like individual rentals for like $20 a pop for a while, and then because I didn't have anywhere to store it. And this was when I lived in the suburbs and I would drive out here to go paddleboarding. And then I started renting it for the season, and that was like a few $100 a season. And they would keep it there, so I had somewhere that it was stored and I could just go there and use it. And then he ended up giving me a code so I could get in when it was off hours because he trusted me. And so finally I ended up just buying this board from him during the pandemic. And it was funny because they were like policing the beaches. They weren't letting anyone near the beaches, and I had to get special permission from him and then get a cop to let me cross their line to get to the beach to get this board after I had bought it. I was like, Dave from Kayak Chicago sold me this paddleboard and I'm here to retrieve it. And that was when I had my old car with my roof rack, which was specifically for moving this board around. So I have such an attachment to this board. I love it, and I love being out on this lake, and I love being able to even just see Montrose Beach over there, even though I'm not going to paddle down there today because I would rather have like a snack on me and some coffee. It's about a 4-mile trip, so I'm like halfway. I'm a couple miles out, so I'll probably do a 4-mile round trip today, I guess. And that's pretty easy for me to do when it's not windy or there's not a strong current or whatever. That is a 4-mile each way trip, so I've done that before, and it's fun, but you need fuel for that. I don't like to just go out and do it with just a little bit of water. I like to make sure I have plenty of water and some carbs on me and possibly a little coffee so I have a little bit of extra oomph to get there. But I just wanted to talk for a minute because I was thinking about scenery and change of scenery and how important that is and how much it affects us. And I think a lot of times we don't really stop and consider that. And I'm thinking about how I wonder how other people feel about this who drive trucks. When I leave my truck for my home time, I feel strangely sad to leave my truck because in a very short time, I've become really attached to it. And I think that a lot of us probably feel that way because the truck it's what you depend on for your transportation, your sleep. It's like your little home. It feels like a tiny studio apartment for me. And I really love my truck. Like I keep saying, I'll probably keep saying that. I'm super lucky to have a newer model truck. It's really a privilege that a lot of new drivers don't get. And it was just luck and timing. But I was sad to leave it, and I brought all my stuff, and I brought my sheets to wash, so I have nice clean sheets when I go back, and that'll be so nice. And then the other thing, and I wonder how other truckers feel, is I'm amazed at in what a short time of driving a truck 5 days a week I am having such a harder time getting back in my car and driving. And granted, I live in a place where people drive very aggressively. Especially because I'm coming from Indiana up north into Chicago, and basically the whole trip people drive crazy. And when you've been driving a truck for days or weeks or longer, when you get in a car, you feel super fucking vulnerable. And because you've been high up off the road in a vehicle that if someone hits you, they're going to sustain damage. And it's like getting back in my car and people zipping around me and driving all crazy is making me more nervous than it normally would, and super like agitated and uncomfortable. And I want to yell at people because you just see it differently when you're in a more vulnerable position. So that made me think about how my dad, whenever he's on home time, and he doesn't have a car, but when he's with one of us and he's in a car, he is a very bad passenger. And now I really understand why, because he's been living in a truck for like 20 plus years, and your whole brain changes, your brain adapts, your perspective changes. I find that stuff super fascinating. I'm really interested in brain science, and I just want a brain scientist to do research on, they probably already have. So someone, if you know about it, share it with me, because I'm really curious. I'm interested in how our brains change in response to the vehicles that we spend time in, because it's a different human experience to have mobility in a vehicle that travels in a certain way at a certain height. Like, what's it like for people who fly airplanes? That's another thing I really wish I could get into. I've always thought that would be really cool for me. But yeah, I'm sort of drifting a little bit closer. Can you see the skyline right there? And then there's like these closer buildings here, but it's pretty out. It's nice that it's a little bit overcast and I can actually take my hat off and not feel like I'm totally cooking. It's been brutal the last couple of days. Yesterday was rough. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got. I just wanted to share those reflections, and I'm interested in what other people have experienced when it comes to changing. I'm sorry, I hope this isn't like giving you seasickness to watch it with me moving on this paddleboard. What do you feel when you have a change of scenery? You know, when I first started paddleboarding, at the end of the day when I would lay down in bed, I would feel like I was still moving because my proprioceptors, my brain hadn't adapted yet to paddleboarding. Now I don't get that at all. And it's like I'm adapting to being in a truck way up high off the ground, and then getting in a car and feeling like everybody around me is going to crush me because they're all driving like absolute motherfucking dog shit. You know? So, anyway, please share your thoughts on these subjects. They're very pressing and important. Just kidding. That's it. That's all I got. Video, another day, another snafu. That was a truck flying by me, by the way, because I am sidelined yet again. And this time, let's see if this, oh, that's a little too bright, huh? This time, so they say it comes in threes, so I am sincerely hoping that this snafu is number 3. There's 2 trucks about to go by me, and one of them is stuck in this lane, so, oh, maybe not. I hate that I'm sitting here. I'm sitting on I-88 with a very gnarly looking tear in my passenger side steer tire, and I'm feeling thankful that that's all it was, because as any truckers know who are watching this, a blown steer tire is a very bad thing, and especially because I probably would just be in a mental zone. It's a pretty easy drive, weather's beautiful. You know, I might be sitting in a relaxed posture, and all of a sudden, if that tire blows, you're going to have to fucking be on it, because if you're not, you can really lose control of your truck. I haven't had that happen yet. I know it's a very bad thing, and it's very scary. So I will share a photo here of what happened to the tire. Fortunately, I think what happened was it must have happened while I was in slower traffic. And then it, sorry for the flashers sound, by the way, but I need to leave them on for obvious reasons. And then when traffic eased and I started to pick up speed, I was doing maybe like 50 or 55. And then once I started to go a little over 60, my truck tops out at 65. So I had my cruise control set at 65, and I started to get up towards 65. And all of a sudden I'm hearing dunk, 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 dunk. And I'm like, that's not a good sound. So I pulled over, and also thankfully, the damage was visible right on the top of that tire. So that was fortunate. This is a good thing in a way, but I'm also frustrated, and I worry that my videos keep sounding like complainy. I don't mean to sound like that. It's just shit keeps happening, man. It's just been a weird stretch here. And this truck, I mentioned before, if anyone who sees this, who's been following my journey here, I did mention this truck had been in an accident before. I don't know if I mentioned before that it had been in a rollover accident and it rolled onto that passenger side. So the 3 things that have happened in the last couple of weeks have all been in the very same area of that part of the passenger side of the cab. It was a puncture to the filter for the air dryer. That was the first thing that happened. And then it was last week a blown bearing in the passenger side steer wheel of the steer tire. And then today it's a blown tire. So I'm not shocked, because I know enough about damage to vehicles that once damage is repaired, it doesn't mean that the vehicle is not going to have issues. In fact, it's more likely, if it's had any kind of significant damage, it's more likely to have some issues that are sort of fallout from that damage. And I can only assume that's what it is, because it's weird that it's all in the same area of the truck, especially that same tire / wheel. So I am just feeling really grateful, because I am so glad that my tire didn't full on blow out while I was around a lot of traffic, because I've been in plenty of traffic these last 2 days, today and yesterday, and that could have been much more serious. So this was a good outcome. If you're going to have this kind of damage happen, this is probably the best possible way for it to happen. I'm trying real hard to turn lemons into lemonade. I'm going to sit here and do a little video editing finally, because I've been really wanting to, although I've been sitting here fucking off for like the last, I don't know, 45 minutes or however long it's been. That's not how long it's been that I've been sitting here. I've been sitting here probably for an hour and 45 minutes. I was on the phone for almost an entire hour with my company's roadside assistance, and no one was answering. And it said, unusually high call volume, your wait will be over 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'm in a queue probably, so I don't want to hang up. So finally, I'm texting somebody. I'm like, do you think I should hang up and call back, like someone who knows maybe how our roadside assistance works? And he was like, if it hits an hour, I wouldn't do that. So I hung up. I called our dispatch and I told them what was going on. I'm like, I'm sitting here waiting. No one's answering. I'm just sitting here on the fucking side of the road, pissed. Like, it's not really a safe place to be either. I don't want to be here, because I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about other people. Because when you're on the side of the road on a shoulder, that means the trucks that are in this lane need to go around me. They need to get over into the left lane. That fucks over everyone. I don't like being a part of that. And I don't have safety triangles in this truck, which I should. So like right after this happened, I went on Amazon and ordered them, which I should have done sooner. So at least I'll have them next week. So hopefully I won't need them. I was so frustrated waiting for so long, and then I called the emergency number that's for accidents, and they answered right away, because the first number I called was specifically for tire repair. So a repair person is on the way, and they told me it's a 2-hour wait. So I am really hoping my company will compensate me for this time spent sitting. Bro, this truck was way too close to me. Holy shit. I believe that they will. I think they're usually pretty good about that. But the funny thing is, guys, I want to be working. Like, I was on my way to drop off this empty trailer I have behind me and pick up another load, and I was looking forward to it. It was a small load, not a big distance. I was looking forward to completing a second load today, and now I can't. And it's really frustrating. But I'm just going to try my best to stay positive, focus on the good side of things, how things could have gone and how they didn't. And I'm going to do some video editing, and that's that. So I ate some dinner. I brushed my teeth and flossed. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm living my life now. I guess this is where we're at. So hopefully this dude will get here sooner rather than later and fix my tire, and I will be back on the road in my trusty steed. Not so trusty these days, but it's going to get better. I have faith. Okay, so it's another day of some moderate frustration. I think I'm doing a really good job of just trying to stay positive. I found out from some people today that I'm very unlikely to get retention pay, even though I was delayed for 4 hours and lost a load yesterday afternoon because of my tire blowing. I want to clarify, the tire didn't blow out, thankfully, but I couldn't drive on it. So these are things that happen sometimes that you have no control over, and it just cuts your pay and you're just fucked. And that means my pay could be even lower than it has been the last couple of weeks on the next paycheck. And I'm just like, fuck. Man, I'm digging deep. I'm trying to stay positive. I know you can't expect things to be that great in the beginning, but it's still like, it's crazy when you go through all this work. And I think the thing is that I try not to think about is knowing how much money is being made off of my labor when I'm not making money. And also knowing that other people who are doing the same job as me are making significantly more money. And it just happens to be because they've been here longer or because they're working at night. Now that is not the same as what I'm doing. I'm trying not to harp and repeat myself, and I'm failing miserably, right? Sorry. But, so this is weird. My trailer was supposed to be ready, but it's in the area where I cannot pick it up from. It's still in a dock door, so I have to wait for a yard driver to move it for me. And I just spoke with one of them, and I was like, can you move that trailer for me? Because I know I can't grab it from that door. And he's like, unfortunately, I can't because it's not on my screen yet. But as soon as it is, I'll move it for you. So I'm just sitting and waiting. It's been a long morning of waiting. I set my availability time that we're supposed to set for our planners to schedule us. Sorry, that's a road driver picking up a trailer. I set it for 8 a.m. and it is now 10:10 a.m. and I still haven't even hooked up to my trailer because my load wasn't ready. And I'm frustrated by these things, but I think this is just universal. And I think that's why trucking is frustrating for a lot of people and why a lot of people want to be owner-operators, because these are the kinds of things that screw you over when you're a company driver. But when you're an owner-operator, then you're dealing with a whole other set of stresses, because then you're having to negotiate rates for loads, and you're having to deal with fuel prices, and you're having to manage upkeep of your truck on your own, and that's a huge amount of burden and stress. So trucking is hard. That's the takeaway. Trucking is hard. Did we not already know this? Are we learning yet? I'm trying really hard to just keep going like, life is good, you know? And I'm proud of myself because I'm so different than I used to be. These types of things I could never have managed in the past. I would have been so angry and frustrated and lashing out and letting everybody see me be upset, being a pouty ass baby. And now I'm like, well, that's trucking. You know, you gotta just keep it on. Fuck. Greetings from my bathroom where I'm home on my home time. Just got back today and I am doing one of my favorite things, which might sound like a weird thing to have as a favorite thing, but I am bleaching my roots because I am getting my hair thoroughly chopped tomorrow, and this is a year of growth right here. What's funny is every time I'm about to chop my hair off, like right when I'm getting to the point where it's driving me absolutely nuts, I start getting all these compliments on my hair. It is making me crazy. It's a miracle I didn't already shave my head, because I often do shave my head this time of year, and I probably still will in August. But I'm very particular about how I keep my hair. When my head is shaved, I like to keep it bleached and super short. So I will like bleach it, shave it and bleach it like every few days, which sounds weird and neurotic because it kind of is. I've been coloring my own hair for 20 years and it's not really, I mean, it is partly a financial thing because getting your hair professionally colored is so expensive, but it's also, the main thing is I hate sitting in a salon, like sitting and waiting for color. I get so much of the bleach on my hair that's already colored and it causes breakage. Not a crazy amount, but enough. But every time I color my hair now, I get it cut right after anyway, so it doesn't matter. Or if I don't care about breakage because I'm not trying to grow my hair long. I haven't had long hair since I was in high school, a senior in high school. And I have no desire to have long hair again because it is annoying and it's time consuming and it uses too much product. And I don't want to mess with any of that shit. So yeah, so tomorrow I am going to my gorgeous, fucking amazing hair wizard. So probably the next clip you're gonna see after this one is me getting my shit chopped. And I'm so stoked. It's gonna be super short and super comfortable. No more of this humid weather with all this hair on my head. It's way too much. I don't know how people who have like thick hair, because my hair is very fine, I don't know how people with thick hair or long hair fucking do it in summer, and especially in any place with any kind of humidity. I don't have the wherewithal to do that. So more power to you. But anyway, yeah, this is gonna be goodbye. So as it turns out, I'm not very good at coloring my hair when it's this long. I mean, I already knew that. So I did a double process because the first time it turned out so like yellow, you know, brassy and gross. So I had to do like a second process. And then when I toned it, it immediately turned purple. The ends turned purple because this is like bleach on bleach on bleach, but it's fine because all this shit's getting chopped off. And it's funny because I actually like the way this color looks. I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, all that's gonna come off, and what's left is exactly how I like it. It's a pretty nice, it's not exactly platinum, but yeah, it'll work. Good morning. It's another gorgeous summer day in Chicago, and you guessed it, I'm heading out on a paddle sesh, which is always my favorite thing to do on these days off. It's such a needed sense of relief, physical relief from long hours of sitting. Feels so good to get some exercise. Although one of the challenges has been, while doing this job, trucking, and previously when I was doing the furniture moving, I have certain chronic physical issues that relate with my neck issues. And one of them is, it's kind of complicated, but I think it's something called thoracic outlet syndrome, where you have issues that stem from the thoracic spine, like between the shoulder blades, where I end up with numbness in my left hand. And paddling is pretty hand intensive and grip intensive, especially if there's any kind of wind or chop. So you got to really sort of like pull yourself. The better you are at it, the better your technique is, the more you can use your whole body and not just like crank with your upper body. But this is a pattern I have also as a swimmer. I'm just delving into some physical stuff for anyone who might be interested in it. With swimming, I've had this tendency to drag myself through the water when I swim like freestyle stroke, where I'm like muscling with my upper body and not kicking as hard with my legs. Yeah, so when I go paddleboarding, sometimes there's some discomfort involved, which kind of sucks. But that's just being an adult in your 40s with an athletic background. Your odds are you're going to have some stuff that happens like that. I could use some physical therapy, so at some point, hopefully I'll get in. But anyway, I digress. I am kind of having some residual stress from work, and I'm trying to let that go. And that's something I really don't want. I don't want to be like thinking about work stuff when I'm off. The reality is my company and the account I'm on in particular has really high turnover, like crazy high turnover. And it hasn't taken me very long at all to figure out why that is. And there's a lot of toxic energy there. And I don't want to say too much, but I'll just say that like when you're trying to communicate with the people who are responsible for setting you up on your day, just going in their office, you feel like you're doing something wrong, and you'll walk in and people will be yelling at each other and stuff. And I don't do that well in that type of environment because I'm a peaceful person, you know, and like I totally have compassion for the people who are angry, because there's a reason why people are disgruntled at their jobs, and I don't blame those people. And it's like, if you have a company where there's really high turnover and people are super angry when they're at work, then 9 times out of 10 the problem is that they're being overworked and underpaid, which I'm 100% sure is the problem. You feel like they're mad at you for like wanting to work. It's like, man, I'm just trying to come in here and do my thing, you know? So anywho, this isn't as pleasant of a little walking music montage as I shared with you guys last time, but I'm trying to just let go of the ick feelings from work and not internalize things, because like I said, when people are upset at work, a lot of times it's because of what's coming from the top, and not even in that office, but from the top corporately. And it's like, you want to not have to rehire people all the time and be desperate for employees, then maybe pay people appropriately, and then you'll be able to keep them and staff enough people so that the people that are there aren't completely fucking stressed out. Just a thought.